Oh hey, welcome back to Fire Emblem Sacred Stones.
Fire Emblem, Refess. We must confess that we are Refess.
Yes.
This is the second episode of us re-recording the audio. Hopefully you enjoyed the first one.
Lost audio. Same video. This is the new audio over it.
Same voice.
Talking over it.
Same voice you know and love.
Yeah.
Roll the intro. You think we're gonna beat all these games?
Nope.
Backlog boys.
No, probably not.
Hey!
Whoa!
Look at this.
Whoa!
Boys are back again with with their phone notifications. Boys are back again with re-recorded Fest episodes.
Yep.
This was pretty interesting the first time around. We'll see if we can get into a rhythm with it again.
Yeah. Hopefully you're liking it. Hopefully it's working.
This mission took a really long time.
Yes, I think it was a 3-year.
It was a 3-parter, yeah.
This is part 2 of
Spoilers. This is part 2 2 of 3
Sorry, y'all. We already been here.
of this mission. This is a long mission. There were so many enemies.
Yeah.
Just wait till we get into the third episode,
see it,
guys.
yeah.
It's weird to be talking about next week this early in the episode,
Yeah.
but next week you're going to see so much red on the screen. It's going to blow your mind. Speaking of red, look up there on the backlog bond. You see the red new Super Mario Bros. Wii case for the Wii. You know, they're all white.
Oh, yeah.
And the new
Stands
Super Mario
out.
Bros. Stands out crazy because it's red.
Yeah. Yep.
I think that was the first time I remember them starting that thing, because they do that with various 3DS games, and they did that with a couple of Wii U games as well. Maybe just one, Mario Kart 8. But I just remember like being like entranced and like infatuated with that. It just popped to have the like colored case.
Yeah.
And they made a couple other ones. I think there might have been one Wii game that had a yellow case. I want to say it's like sticking out to my memory for some reason, but I don't remember what it was.
Are the Nintendo Classic ones gold? Or is that just on the front?
Just the cover art. The cover art has like the gold and red frame for like player's choice.
Yeah.
It's like a greatest hits kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But it's not the actual box, not the actual plastic case. That's a different color.
Okay. Oh yeah, I see. It's yep.
Yeah. That one just popped out. But I was just thinking of like different games that had like colored cartridges back in the cartridge days.
Yep. And
how exciting that was.
Yeah, I had the Majora's Mask with the holographic.
The gold and the hologram, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. What's interesting on Ocarina of Time, there was the gold cartridge that was like a limited edition. And then later on there was a gray cartridge. Mm-hmm. Which every other Zelda game that had a gold cartridge, the gold is the only one.
Yeah.
Or like there's like a super rare gray cartridge of like the original Zelda. There was like a limited pressing. And then there's like fake gray cartridges of Majora's Mask.
Oh really?
Where people
that was only gold.
It was only gold, yeah. But there's like fake gray ones where people are like super rare.
Oh my god, just found
and they'll
it.
try to like hook you on eBay and sell you a fake. But the reason I thought of it is because I just picked up a couple of games in a recent haul, and one of them has a very, very unique cartridge, probably the most unique one that there is, and that's Pokemon Stadium 2. So like Pokemon Gold and Silver for the Game Boy had gold and silver cartridges respectively, and they had these like metal flake, paint. They weren't just like a single color. They had like, they weren't super glimmery like some metal flake stuff is, but it was like a special plastic for sure. It had something in it to make it kind of look sparkly. And the Pokemon Stadium 2 cartridge are made of the same plastic. Like the front half and the back half are gold and silver. So I don't know if there's any other
that
game cartridge that's 2 colors in one.
I can't think of one.
Yeah.
That's dope.
It's pretty cool. And I never owned
really
Pokemon
cool.
Stadium 2 back in the day, because it came out in 2001. Like the same year that the GameCube came out.
Yeah.
It was right at the end of the N64. And we were still into Pokemon at the time, but we just must have missed the boat on it because we were already playing GameCube and PS2.
Yeah.
Most likely. But yeah, I never had Pokemon Stadium 2, so it's kind of exciting to have it now and kind of look through it and see what's different from Stadium 1, which I'm like way familiar with. Mm-hmm. But in Pokemon Stadium 2, you can create custom rule sets for multiplayer.
Really?
Yeah, and I made a Boys Lock one because you can go through and choose like which Pokemon are allowed to be used, and so I got to filter it to be the Boys Lock Pokemon. So like specifically the Smogon underused tier and below, and I got to like I got to ban all of the borderline and overused Pokemon, and it was pretty cool. And you get to like name it, and you can like turn items off and everything. So it's like. So now, if people wanted to battle each other under Boys Lock constraints, we could just pop in Pokemon Stadium 2, and they could like pick their Pokemon instead of like sending people off with Game Boys and making them like build a team and stuff. So it's kind of like makes it more accessible. But I thought that's pretty cool. I had no idea you could do that.
It's like Special Smash.
Yeah, but it like gets saved to the cartridge.
That's cool,
and you can just bust it out. Whenever you're playing in one of the modes, it'll like ask you which rules you want to do, and you can just be like, boop, 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 Boys Lock. Choose the one you want to do. Boop, boop, boop. Yeah, that was going down the menu 3 times, not like a chopped and screwed remix. Boop, 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 Boys Lock kind of thing.
Boop, 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 poison.
But
unrelated.
Speaking of Boys Lock, Vaughn.
Yes.
Well, this is sort of a good segue, but not really. One of the things we talked about in the previous version of this episode with the ruined audio was, as we're coming to the end of year 2, we kind of did a year in re-2. We talked about what were some of our favorite moments from year 2, and maybe like highlights, and like if you had a favorite year 2 series or favorite year 2 moment.
Well, a favorite moment was me dropping the no mics and you having the biggest reaction in
no mics was legendary.
GoldenEye?
That was GoldenEye, yeah. I believe it's episode 5.
I mean, I thought it was kind of clever, but it stuck so hard.
It was just,
I was so glad.
It was amazing. You just said it like right off the top of the dome, and it
was quick. It was rapid fire, and I did not think about it long.
Was it like my interpretation of it was deeper than how you initially meant it?
No, because I meant it like a overly avant-garde way to...
So you did mean it exactly as I interpreted it. Okay.
Of just like, oh yeah, just,
Yeah, overly avant-garde.
Because there's the guys who's like, oh, we gotta go analog only.
Yeah.
Get rid of all this digital stuff. And then the next step to me was just like, oh, just no mics.
No mics.
Get them out of here.
Yeah.
I was glad that
just the absurdity. I couldn't handle it.
I think when Bjorn was here last week, we like re-listened to it.
Yeah, because we were talking about it.
So funny,
and we played it back
to listen back to.
Yeah,
that was
cracking up.
That was my favorite moment by far.
That might be like if I had to pick like the funniest Backlog Boys bit of all time, like that one's up there.
It's kind of painful watching me like I see what the viewers see for like the first time.
Watching this?
Of like the select something, move them there, click a weapon, and then undo it all. And then, make all these like sequences of moves, and then wait, and then think about it, and then look at the weapons, and then go back, and then do another guy. And
yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, how ironic is that?
I've never seen it like this.
It takes us accidentally ruining the audio from a session
to open my
and
eyes.
having to redo this. To like open Vaughn's eyes to like what it looks like to watch him play the game. Like he's truly out of control.
Yeah.
In this situation, like he's just like he's not really inside of his head in this moment. He doesn't. No. He doesn't fully know.
Though I guess I at least see what's happening probably more than like the average person.
Right. Yeah. You can read into it a little bit more than a random person.
There's more context to it. It at least means more.
But yeah,
it still looks just like a mess. It just
looks ridiculous. Yeah.
It's like I had my second dog. She's a greyhound named Vanessa, and she was. Or your
second dog ever, not your like your second dog currently, not like your number 2.
No.
At first, I was like, "What?"
I don't think I have dogs who are subservient.
You don't have a hierarchy.
Yeah. They're all amazing, and they're all beautiful. But our second dog that we had in the family was Vanessa, a greyhound, and she would when we first got her, so our previous Greyhound was like very timid around people. He wouldn't go downstairs.
Wow.
Unless you like really convinced him or carried him, and it's not easy to carry a Greyhound.
No.
Because they're so long and awkward and big. But we get Vanessa, and she's like the opposite. She's like magnetic. You know, she's always going up to people, seeing what they're doing, and she's roaming around the house just like she runs the place, right? And then one day she I don't know if her like nails were super short or on her feet, on her paws, but like she is going over the hardwood floor and just like scrambles and like wipes out, and then gets up and like, you know, kind of shrugs it off and goes somewhere else. But then after that, she just like wouldn't go on the hardwood in our house.
Oh yeah,
which is like 40% of the first
gun
floor.
shy.
Yeah. All of a sudden she's just like, nope.
Dogs are like that.
I'm done.
I mean,
I'm not doing that
That's
again.
how dogs learn. That's how most animals learn, I guess. But
to get to many places of the house, you would have to cross a little bit of hardwood.
Yeah.
Or like tile. And she would, so what she would do is very similar to this. She would be on like a rug or like a floor mat or something like that.
Oh, and she'd
on
like
a little island of safety.
She'd like walk to the end of it.
And yeah, she'd walk up to it and kind of like mentally, you could see her preparing herself. She's like, I just gotta do it. I just gotta do it. And she, she'd kind of like whine a little bit, like,
yeah.
And she's getting right up to it, and then she can't do it. She has to circle around and like reset and like, okay, now I'm gonna do it. Because she wants to come see us. We're in the other room.
Yeah.
And we're like saying, "Come on, Vanessa," and she's like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
But she can't. That's what this feels like.
That's so
like she's
funny.
she gets so close, like, oh.
That's such a hilarious analogy.
And then just goes right back. Oh man.
Yeah, Nima. Oh my God, I'm getting a phone call.
Oh. What do we do? Do I pause?
We're gonna pause the episode.
We're gonna pause.
We're gonna literally pause the episode because we're just watching it. And we're back.
We are back.
Okay, so Vaughn, I just realized that this is really weird because in the last week's episode there was a pause.
Was it in this episode?
In the old session.
Yeah.
But last episode, not this episode.
Oh, yep.
But we just talked right through it because we didn't need to stop for the same reason that we did in the old session.
Oh,
but then the opposite happened in this session.
That's very true.
So in last week's episode, there's going to be a random jump in gameplay, but no hiccup in the conversation.
Oh my God, they cheated.
Yeah.
They reloaded the save file.
Vaughn's doing his virtual typing there. You can't see that.
Yeah,
Unless you're on YouTube Red. But in this episode, we had the opposite, where we had a pause in the conversation, but no pause in the gameplay. So you're just going to be watching continuous gameplay and then just a random like hiccup in the talking. So I just thought that was interesting. I wonder how that'll come off. I'll have to wait and see. Anyway, Vaughn, you had something you wanted to say that you heard about during the break as well.
So coming back to this format, this odd format we're doing right now.
Yes, never before done.
I've got to say, I actually feel like I'm operating at or speaking at like 100% capacity and not like 60.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
It's always tough.
A world of difference.
It's awesome.
Like I actually feel eloquent. And I feel like there was so many times in this game in particular where I'd be like trying to describe something while playing and it just like
you would just
none of the analogies would land.
Right.
And like it would just make no sense.
Or you would have to stop playing.
Yeah, I'd have to
in order to explain it.
Yeah.
Which there are periods where you're just sitting there.
Yeah.
While you're like making a point.
So this feels good.
It feels free.
Yeah. Unfortunately it might not be sustainable for how long it takes to.
Yeah.
But it feels right now, you know what?
Yeah,
we're making the best of it, and it actually feels really good.
It's not something that we're gonna plan on repeating.
Yeah.
But if it's something that we got to clamor for, we might find a way to do it.
Yeah, feels good.
It's
a weight off our shoulders.
It's interesting because I think we both have reasons to look forward to series where the other one of us plays and ones where we play because like it's fun to play the game, obviously, but then it's also very liberating to not be playing the game because you can just. Your mind can just go, and you can just think about whatever, and you can talk about whatever you want, and then that person, a little behind the scenes here for you guys, the person who's not playing the game kind of can help carry the conversation and keep it moving forward.
Yes.
So like in this series, it's a lot of me because Vaughn will be lost in thought, and I'll just kind of go spin my wheels.
Yeah.
You know, and
so Dark Cloud seemed the opposite, not the opposite, but like,
yeah. Well,
I could just.
Dark Cloud was just a mindless game to play.
Yes.
Like, it did not require very much thought for me to play, so I could get into a flow with it. Mm-hmm. But games like this that require a lot of concentration, it wasn't as easy. Although we did achieve pretty close to flow state for many of these episodes.
There's a lot of corollaries between the two.
Yes, we have before called this the Dark Cloud of Year 2, which makes it sound like a bad thing if you don't know what we're talking about.
The Dark Cloud.
It's not a dark cloud over Year 2.
The big black cloud.
It has a similar feel in Year 2 as Dark Cloud did in Year 1.
Anyways, we were talking about favorite Year 2 series.
We were talking about highlights of Year 2.
So favorite moment is easily No Mics.
No Mics, yeah, absolutely.
What a great stick of that joke. But
yeah, we could just make one greatest hits video that's just that clip, and we wouldn't need to make any more.
Yeah, and it's like 2 minutes long too, or a few minutes. It's great.
Because I keep going back to it because it's so funny.
Yeah, we couldn't get over it.
Yeah, it took me a while to get over that.
So favorite series, I really liked the kind of thoughtlessness of Champions hyphen Fortune Street.
Okay, like you're viewing that as one series
because it kind of was. It kind of felt the same. We're like, it almost felt like.
I mean, it was because it was part of this, it was the same part of a session.
Yeah, and it didn't feel like performing, but just like playing a game with two good friends. It was like, this is great.
Oh yeah,
we're just kicking back, having fun playing games.
Yeah,
it felt very like what the show aims to do, which is always good.
Yeah, Fortune Street was fun. That was for sure.
And just how surprising Fortune Street was with its hitness.
Yes, it was a shocking hit for Kyle and Vaughn. Mm-hmm. It was a fun time.
Do you have a clear favorite?
I don't have a clear favorite.
And I've got to say, it's hard to pick with the guests that we've had.
Yes.
Between it's
nice to have it kind of narrowed down for us because there were so much fewer series in year 2 than year 1.
Which is like the kind of halving of the content amount.
Yeah, or the pace.
Yep.
Yeah. We just didn't complete as many games because we were taking it a little bit slower for our own sake. But I definitely come to mind with a couple of, highlights and favorite moments. But as far as like a series that I would pick as my favorite, I don't know. I'd have to give it some thought. I feel like there's actually stuff that I'm forgetting, but I did really enjoy our Wave Race single episode series.
It was a good
the
romp,
the only one ever where it was just one episode, but that was pretty funny because we just kind of like lost touch with it and
those fucking names at the beginning.
Yeah, it's just total meme fest. But
what are your favorite moments? If those are more clear.
Oh man. I mean, let's see here. There was I'm not really thinking of any specifically right now. My mind is so blank. My mind's not blank. My brain is like totally overloaded with other crap right now. Mm-hmm. Like, but until VGM Con is over, which it is in the time of this episode airing, but in Boys Time it's not yet. Until that's passed, my brain is just kind of like a wreck.
Yeah.
I've been like forgetting to do stuff around the house, and I've been like messy and cluttery.
I've had a lot of things like that too.
Things are just slipping my mind that normally would never slip my mind, and it's just like it just in like really stressful, like overdriven kind of a state, and it kind of sucks.
I've been in what feels like just like autopilot, and it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, it's like a mix of autopilot and overdrive.
Yeah,
like you're simultaneously disengaged and like super hyper engaged.
Yep.
It's a weird combination of things, but yeah, between all the planning for the convention that I'm involved in, and then also practicing for the 3 different performances that I'm doing, is just like
at the convention.
Yeah. It's just kind of crazy.
Did I see that you're doing a solo set?
I am. I'm doing, well, technically 2 solo sets. Yeah, I'm doing a solo acoustic set before the Super Guitar Bros, which went great, by the way. I'll just randomly say that in retrospect and hope that it's true, but it hasn't actually happened yet.
Yep.
And then I'm also doing a solo guitar versus gamer set where I'm inviting the audience to play Turtles in Time while I play the soundtrack on electric guitar. So it's like a audience participation hangout thing.
You could find a stream of us and Bracky.
No, you can't. I don't think you can find that anywhere.
Is that gone?
I'm pretty sure it's gone.
That's not VODed.
No, yeah. Well,
Never mind.
It got highlighted on Twitch, but it never got exported to YouTube. So that's
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's gone. But we did that one time.
Yes, we did.
It's been an idea that I've kicked around for years. But as far as I know, it's not anything that anyone's done. The most similar thing would be Bit Brigade. But
They're awesome.
that's very
They're
different.
coming.
They are. They're coming. I bought a ticket.
Did you?
Yeah, you should buy one too.
I should. How much was it?
$8.
Ooh, I'm there.
Yeah. Super cheap.
Ooh, that's happening tonight.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Bit Brigade is the band that we've talked about probably many times on this show. When we talk about MagFest, they usually come up. They're a band that's a 4-piece rock band, 2 guitars, bass, and drums. And then the 5th person in the band plays an NES on the stage. And he's basically like an amateur speedrunner. He's a really, really talented gamer. And the word amateur makes it sound less than it really is, but he's an extremely talented gamer. He doesn't really consider himself a speedrunner, but he technically is, I guess. He'll play an NES game at a really high level and play all the way through it, and then the band plays the music synced up, like frame by frame. Like not just like loosely synced up, but they're like on the money, like just like it was coming out of the cartridge. And they're coming to Minneapolis for the first time in either a really long time or the first time ever, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
And the greatest part about it is that they're playing the one game that I've never seen them do.
Zelda.
Right. The original Zelda. I've seen every other thing that they do, as far as I know, including the 2 brand new ones that they busted out at last MagFest. But I've never seen them do Zelda, so I'm really excited to see how that goes. Because when they did Metroid, they included music from the whole Metroid series, because there's so many parts of Metroid original that just don't have music, or it's like repeated music, or it's just like super atonal. So they included like other themes. And I think they do the same thing with the original Zelda, because there's a lot of songs that aren't in it. So I'm really excited about that.
Speaking of atonal.
Oh, this sounds great. It's a great segue. It's a great lead in.
Okay, idea number 1.
Okay.
Segue 1. Branching path number 1.
Okay. Choose your own adventure.
Yeah, go to page 72 if you want this one. So I had a very funny idea I don't know if it's actually funny or if it's just me thinking it's funny to myself. I had this idea in class the other day. We're learning about the composer Schoenberg, spelled like Schoenberg.
Yep.
But pronounced Schoenberg. And he is a 12-tone composer. If you don't know what 12-tone music is, there's 7 notes in most scales, right? So pick your 7 notes, and then you have the 8th as the octave, and that makes up your
library of notes
of pitches that you can use in that harmonic arrangement.
And then using the notes in that way will create music that sounds remotely familiar.
So 12-tone music says
you can use all the notes in between those 7 notes as well.
Yeah, so we'll use all of the notes, and particularly for this like style, there's this insane system that he kind of pioneered for how to write 12-tone music.
Yeah, wasn't he using
in the classical
like matrices and stuff like that?
This is exactly that.
Yeah.
So what you do is you make a matrix, and the first line of that matrix,
which is a mathematical arrangement of numbers.
like a big table.
Yeah.
And so the first line of this table is the 12 pitches in the order you choose, and by definition, like 3 of them can't make a triad, They have to all be just like amorphous and random.
Yeah.
Essentially. To what I would perceive as random. I'm sure there's thinking
what
behind
the average listener might interpret as random.
Yeah. And then in order to give variety to the rest of the piece, because that's going to be like your base that you build off of, the columns going down from that are, the rows going down from that first row are the intervals above as a distance from the original version. So like you say, instead of starting on if you're starting on D, if you went down or went up 3 semitones, that would be version 3. That would be prime 3, and then you get all the way up to 11, since there's 11 different transpositions from the first one. And if this sounds fun, get ready, it gets better.
It probably doesn't sound fun to anyone. Everyone's probably just scratching their head and like, wow, I can't wait for them to talk about something else.
And then like the other sides of the table are, you can do all of those backwards.
Yeah.
You can do all of those inverted, and then you can do all of those backwards and inverted.
Yeah.
And so then you have this big crazy freaking matrix that has essentially 12 times 12 is 144 versions of this 12 note thing.
Yeah.
That you can do. And it's just it's crazy. And so like learning about this, it was mind-boggling and like tedious. And they're like, oh, there's this shortcut way where you can figure out, if you're given the 0 version of the regular one, if you want to get the inverted one of the, the 7th semitone up, all you gotta do is draw this clock, and you put all the pitches around it, and then you draw these lines, and then you just replace all the notes with the one that's across it from the line on the clock, and then you write out the new line, and that's your new line. And it's like, oh yeah, great, that's kill me now.
Yeah, it's like a way to make music for people who like math.
Yeah. And the end result, I mean, if you're not convinced that it already sounds kind of wonky, you can just listen to some 12-tone music and it sounds very foreign,
very unsettled,
very unnatural.
It tweaks your ear. That's for sure. You do have to acquire a taste for it, and a lot of times I think be in the mood for it as well.
Yeah. It's not easy listening music, and it's not intended
not for
to be.
most people. Yeah, at least maybe not until you've developed a taste for it.
But so I had this funny thought to myself in class while we're doing this, and I'm like.
So you guys were like doing those exercises? You were like writing Schoenberg matrices?
Well, we were essentially examining one matrix from a certain piece.
Oh, I see.
And then he was just kind of showing how you get all of that, because on the test he was like, well, you might be asked, here's prime 0, the forward natural version, and then give us, can you reproduce inverted 6
did he publish these matrices with his works, or are people like transcribing the matrices? Because that would be insane.
I'm not sure. I feel like he would have had to have sketched this out as like a battle plan ahead of time.
Well, right, but he may not have published that anywhere.
That's true. He might not have. Yeah, I guess I don't know. That could be an interesting thing to.
Because if people are listening to the music and reverse engineering those matrices, that is insane.
Yeah.
Those are some true math whizzes.
Yeah. I mean, you could probably do it with the score, but if just by listening, I could not.
That would
get
crazy.
Anywhere close. So
how's that for a transcription exercise?
Oh God. But so I had this funny thought to myself. I'm like cracking up in class, and it's like, he's talking about this. I'm the only one laughing because it's just nonsense on the screen. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I recently saw this guy who made an ASMR of like doing math problems. Garrick.
Was it non-ironic?
Yeah, he was doing it for the purpose of ASMR, as like math being the purpose for the ASMR. So he's like talking to himself, solving problems, and there's like the pencil against the paper.
Oh yeah. And
he's whispering, and he's and so I thought to myself,
is still a thing, everybody.
It is.
Hasn't gone.
It's alive and well.
Yeah.
Especially if you are a female and you do it.
Oh yeah, people get really into that.
Anyways, the idea I had was like, what if I did a fucking ASMR of a
Fire Emblem?
No, a Schoenberg 12-tone.
Oh,
fucking
Matrix.
Like, okay, so here's Prime 1, and now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make the inverted 7. So we're gonna go seven semitones up. I was just cracking myself up.
People are just gonna be asleep at their keyboards.
Yeah, which is sometimes the intended purpose of.
I guess so. Yeah, sometimes ASMR puts people to sleep. I can't fall asleep when somebody's talking.
Yeah, but I found it very funny to myself. Just like,
that is a funny thought.
What if?
It was also a funny thought to imagine you doing it to this, like, be like, all right, so we got to see if Garrick is going to move up to here, or if he's going to... Basically, there's probably a Fire Emblem speedrun where if someone's close enough to the mic, it's probably just ASMR.
Mm-hmm. Looks like Garrick's iron sword isn't going to cut it, so...
I have heard speedrunners talk like that.
Oh, yeah. It's quietly like that.
Just like super
especially
quietly
a guy
and calmly.
alone streaming.
Yeah,
Like
and it's like late at night.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of barely talking, like minimal energy, like they're conserving all of their energy for their brain and trying not to use any physical energy.
So I find Schoenberg really interesting, actually, after this like week's worth of lecture.
It's very unique.
It is very unique, and he was kind of the pioneer of it. And
there probably weren't too many people that did it after him.
Yeah, because I think it was very much like early 20th century. It was just kind of a phase that came and went.
Yeah.
But so there were like two things that I kind of took away from it, where like there was one side of him that was like, this music I'm not making this for the public. This art is not for the masses, and I don't care. Like, right. I'm not. And in a way that's like, okay, that's good. You're not pandering. You're not selling out. But in another way, it's like, music is one of the art forms that most people go to or enjoy. And he's saying like, fuck it. This isn't for the listener. This is for, all the theorists and all of the others, all of the people of my class, which at this time was the upper class. The super heady, snooty, the elite people at conservatories doing drawing diagrams of 12-tone scales.
Yeah.
And so that kind of repulses you. But then there's this other side of him, that like rebellion against what
cookie cutter and like.
Yeah, and where everyone's like, oh yeah, you got to do sonata form, and then or you got to do shake like super hyper romanticism.
Yeah,
and he was like, know what? That's not happening. And so he kind of organized this club, for lack of a better word, where people would come. They would buy tickets to what is a show at night, at a given place at a given time.
Yeah,
and his kind of rationale behind it was like, okay, the way this is going to work is I'm not going to tell you who's playing. I'm not going to tell you what they're playing. I'm not going to tell you who it's by, and I'm not going to tell you like what genre it is. You just have to have the faith in me and the artists that I've curated and that are part of this community, that it's going to be good and that you're going to enjoy it, which is kind of like fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, you just have to suspend, all of your expectations and interpretations, and just like...
Or you can't have expectations.
Yeah, you can't.
Well, I guess you can have some expectations, but...
If you knew who could possibly, like, the whole inner circle. But, but like, the idea of that is kind of appealing, where it's like, you're going to always be exposed to this new art, and you're going to have, like, a fresh mind approaching it, and, it's going to be something different every time, and you'll, like, always have this clean slate. So there's like these almost like two sides of him, where it's like, oh, that's very inherently appealing, but also like the other side that's like kind of repelling you, or repelling me, I guess.
Yeah.
Where I kind of still want there to be artistic value in something, or on some sort of face value as well. Like, not just on this super intricate, very specific level.
Yeah.
Because I think you can find like a point where it covers all of those. Yeah. Where like the art is art to the layman and, you know, the
upper
connoisseur
elite or whatever they consider themselves. Yeah, I find it super interesting, like philosophically. You know, so you have this approach to the music that's totally mathematical and, you know, almost random. And it has this like kind of like scientific, you know, non-human kind of quality to it. Like it's like you're writing the music in the way that like the universe would write the music. It's like, well, we have all these like things that we're trying to decipher and understand so that we can understand how the universe works, because it seems random. And then our species, we like find patterns in things when it's not really there.
Yeah.
Like we make up the patterns and we see the patterns, but the patterns aren't always there. You know, or like we see faces in things that don't have faces.
Yep.
But so like, you know, most music, what draws me to music is because it is human. Like, you know, it's like the most human thing we can do. You know, it goes across cultural lines and language barriers.
And it's to win this.
And it's very like deliberate. You know, like I wrote this music and this was like my musical thought, and it has a message and it carries a tone, and, you know, it can be interpreted in all these different ways, and like that's like the quintessential human thing that you can do. And then the Schoenberg thing like just removes all of that.
Yeah.
It's like it's not human. It's like in a way it becomes like quote unquote perfect because it doesn't have the human element. You know, like we love music because it is human and because it is imperfect, and there's tension and there's release, and, you know, there's like rules and then rules that get broken. But then these like mathematical approaches, it's just very like sterile, and not necessarily in a way that, you know, means that you can't enjoy the music, but it's just completely different. You enjoy it in a different way.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to think about it from like a philosophical perspective.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like you're not writing it.
Yeah.
You're basically like there are people who have made, you know, AI and programs that will write music using the same kind of algorithm.
Oh, I actually saw one recently. It wasn't an AI, but it was
It's basically just a random number generator.
It was radar signals from the surface of the moon Titan.
Really?
In sound form. But it kind of became music.
Huh. Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
It's actually
like,
very interesting. We were playing the board game The Expanse, and someone found that as like a Spotify playlist or something and put it on. It actually sounded really cool because it was all like, it was sci-fi sounding, like beeps and boops, and like weird synthetic, you know, inorganic sounds.
Huh. Yeah. Yeah, that
is kind of a lot like that.
It ties into the like philosophical aspect of it, where it's like the universe is making music in that everything is resonating at a certain frequency, and certain things achieve like what we perceive as harmony, but the universe doesn't play by any of the rules that our ears have been trained to follow. So like some stuff sounds familiar and some stuff sounds unfamiliar.
Yeah.
But if you erase that, then it's just you have the notes that there are and that we can hear, and you can arrange them in any way that you want. So it's a really neat, like totally different backdoor approach to music.
And I think there's people who are kind of on the way up to that too, where there's like that same sort of like shirking the trends and romanticism, but like not quite as far as Schoenberg. So I mean,
especially early 1900s, like Paderewski and
like
all that kind of stuff.
Where it's like, oh, you know, scales don't, where it's almost like it almost becomes a more romantic approach, because it's like, oh, scales aren't needed.
Yeah, they're too
limiting. It's what you think. It's what you want. You can make it whatever you want.
Yeah,
and
it's like this,
that is the music.
This like final frontier almost of composition, where it's like all the bets are off. You can do whatever you want. Wild West.
Or like Bach's crying because you're not resolving things right, but like it's
but screw Bach, he's been dead for 300 years, kind of thing.
It's interesting.
There's some weird music out there, folks. You think you know classical music? Go listen to Paderewski. What's the name of that one piece that's about the World War II? It's called like something for Hiroshima.
I don't know.
It's okay. So this composer's name is pronounced Paderewski, but it's spelled like Penderecki. He's
So many Russian.
Pretty sure he's
or
Polish.
Yeah, East European.
And he wrote this piece that's supposed to be a tone poem type thing about the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings that ended World War II. And it is probably the most chilling piece of music I've ever heard. And he used this like avant-garde graphical notation that wasn't standard notation. And so there are people like hitting their instruments and like playing them in non-conventional ways. Like string players are using like the back side of the bow on the strings, and it's all denoted
what is
with
that called?
Like custom graphical notation.
Like Colenio or something.
Yeah,
for that.
And it's insane. Like when you look at the notation or like hear some of the context of it explained, it's just like, well, that doesn't sound like music at all. But when you listen to it, like it is music, and it almost sounds like a very like early precursor to some modern, film music or even game music, where it's just like, tonal clusters where it's not really like a chord, it's just a set of notes that sounds very tense, and it sounds like music from a horror film. And it's pretty somber, like chilling piece of music. I highly recommend just like sit down in a quiet room, think about World War II for a couple minutes, and then listen to that piece of music, and it will probably hit you pretty hard.
One of them, I mean, by definition, the most brutal period of human existence.
Yeah, I mean, for a period to be that like catastrophic and horrific, but still be so fresh in people's minds, like it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, like both my grandparents were in military service at that time.
Right. Yeah. My granddad was on the beach at Normandy. It wasn't that long ago. 2 generations ago. It was just bloody and angry and dark.
Yeah.
And bleak. Like, God, we think it's bad now, but I can't imagine that it didn't feel worse then.
There had to have been like a global depression.
Yeah.
Like not like a economic, but like just like defeat.
Yeah.
Like, there's this thing like,
just a pall over everything.
At World War I happens and everyone's like, oh yeah, never again will that. We got the League of Nations, we're all talking to each other. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
And then
25 years later.
Worse. World War I, but actually World War.
Yeah.
And worse.
Yeah.
Like, unbelievable how, and like, how many civilians died too is compared to all other wars. It's just like off the charts. Like something like 30,000 people a day for 5.5 years straight, just wiped off the face of the planet. And holy,
if you're ever looking for an opportunity to use the word egregious, it's a good one.
Yeah.
Because it's just the sheer magnitude of it all is just so easy to lose sight of. And it's pretty. I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but it's just disgusting how quickly we forget some things.
Yeah.
Whether it be in history, a period of time ago like that, or even things that have happened like, in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It's just crazy how quickly we like let things go and move on, which is unfortunately a survival instinct coded into our DNA. But it's really holding us back right now as a species. How quickly we let things go and move on.
Something I didn't really know until like kind of digging my claws into it. I'm like I've mentioned this before, but like if I'm on like a Wikipedia page of a historical event, Like that's at least an hour gone. Where I'll just like keep clicking and clicking.
Yeah. Oh my God,
Might have to be continued.
Yeah, we're gonna have to cut it off here, folks. It's so weird not being in control of when the episode ends. We're not used to this.
Oh no, come back.
It's like somebody over in the corners holding up a flash card, giving us the hand across the throat.
You ever been cut off like that? Like, oh, you gotta go.
They give you the circular.
Yeah, like come on,
like get it rolling. All right. Well, next week on the show,
imaginary watch.
We'll have another one of these exciting podcasts. In the meantime, there's Newt 1 on Wednesday.
Friday's Cuphead.
Yes.
Twitch.tv/Backlog Boys. Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. Follow us, like us, subscribe.
And we'll see you next time. This is interesting.
There's some stuff going on back there. I don't know what.
It's Ford.
Ford tough, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Ford tough.